Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I'm making a video to call out all the guys that are flaming their allies for booming in team games. Listen, I know you're out there, and as always in this video I'm going to ask you guys to stop, but I'm actually going to show you guys why you need to stop, because allies pure booming is actually not a bad thing. In fact, it's rarely a bad thing. Having a player pure booming is probably one of the most insane things you can do to win a team game. And hey, you guys asked for team game content, so you better ramp up the views on this video or else you're not getting more. Simple as that. Like button, subscribe right now. But we're gonna get right into this because this one's gonna be a passionate video, boys. Starting things off, guys, in team games you have to understand there are roles to play. Very obvious roles are like flank and pocket, where the flank is the guy who's exposed, needs to do early game aggression, and the pocket will support him, but he's gonna have the better economy generally speaking. However, there are a bunch of different roles that come to be depending on how games play out. The perfect example is actually nomad maps. If you spawn around 3 people in a nomad map, you're not the boomer. You will die. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but it's probably like very likely, like 99% chance you will die. But that role comes with a responsibility as well. So the first thing before we talk about each role's responsibility is just simply understanding that there's different roles to play. And no matter if you're in the booming role or in the try not to die role or even a middle ground, you each have responsibility that you need to take care of to make sure your team has the best chances to win. So it's not like, oh, I'm sitting here on nomad, I'm getting tripled, why is everyone booming? Someone come help me right away. Obviously, sometimes you could get help if someone's nearby, you can fight off together, but if they're on the other side of the map, if they wanted to make army and come to your aid, you will die anyways before they get there because the enemy is just simply closer. So by them making army to try to help you, they're actually putting them behind, and by doing that, they're putting their whole team behind because them booming would be the optimal play in that situation. Think of it logically. If they make army to help, they're not going to have a good economy. You will die anyways, and then they will fight up against those 3 players with their army. Now, those 3 players having already killed you will be a man up to fight any other future fight or future engagement. So your whole team is now down a player and fighting early game. Instead of coming to help you, if they just take up the pure booming role because they're far, untouched, and by themselves, they can actually get to a place where they're up villagers over the 3 players who invested army to attack you, and they can, once Imperial Age comes in or late Castle Age or whatever timing they want to play for, when that moment comes in, they have an economy advantage. They're going to come in with stronger units to fight the 3 guys that invested into weak army. Another thing to consider is that because the 3 guys are naturally investing into army to kill you in this scenario that I've made up, if your far ally makes army, he's giving the army that the enemy's already made extra value, because after killing you, sometimes their army doesn't have a good use, but if another army comes in from your ally, then all of a sudden that enemy army is just getting more value. Now they're fighting, they already have the units made, and they're getting so much value from those units that already killed you. So instead of this, let's let the far ally boom and give your team a chance in the late game. Now let's talk about the situation where you're the guy dying. What should you do? Guys, the dying role is probably the most crucial role, and honestly, I might be alone. Let me know in the comments. I don't know. I like the dying role. It's actually really fun, and this is what you're supposed to do. If you get doubled and tripled, which can happen, sometimes there's no helping it. The enemy team wants to triple you, they plan together the coordinating. Sometimes there's just simply no way to stop it, be it on Nomad or Arabia. If the enemy wants to triple you, you can't just tell them no. They will do it. However, by doing that, they're leaving other sides of their game exposed. So your responsibility is actually to stay calm and limit the damage you're supposed to take. Now, of course, you could just sit there and shout rainbow, rainbow, and start blaming doubts. Shout out Viper.
Guys, I'm rainbow, full rainbow.
Oh, there they are. Okay.
This is full rainbow.
And of course, that's definitely a good way to go about it if you're having some fun and bantering with your boys. But more specifically, to actually win the game, what should you do? Well, you have to do the best to limit the damage that you take. Yes, even if you're doubled or tripled, it does not mean that your base has to get absolutely nuked. There are a ton of defensive options you have, like defensive castle, defensive monk siege, defensive army, all in. Go all in on army and just try to trade as much as you can and buy as much time as you can. There are those methods you can do to, number 1, buy time, and number 2, limit the damage that you take. If you force those 2 or 3 guys that come to your base to spend extra time on you only, your allies will get a free game. And as I mentioned earlier, if they can get a free game, get better economy, and come later with strong units, that is a solid win condition to aim for. And by the way, if you guys don't believe me that a booming player is strong enough to carry the game, think about when slinging was not banned in tournaments. Everyone was slinging, even double slinging one player, because Imperial Age units, one guy in Imperial Age can literally steam steamroll 4 Castle Age players easily. If you get to a fully upgraded carry comp in Imperial Age like Paladin, it doesn't matter how many CA or crossbow you throw at the Paladin's gonna steamroll that. So having a guy fully boomed coming in and sweeping all those players that doubled you is an insane win condition that you guys should not underestimate. I'm repeating it to really emphasize this point. It's really important you guys understand this. So going back to the dying player, okay, you're limiting damage, you're trying to buy some time. What are you buying time for? Well, you're buying time for your allies to come help or to give them more time to develop their economy. Now, help from your allies can come in multiple forms. They don't have to come and protect you directly. Sometimes if you die or you're out of the game, saving you at that point is kind of useless. So as long as you're able to run a few villagers and you don't get completely defeated, that's probably the best case scenario that they can hope for. And instead what they can do is just simply attack the enemies. Remember when I said if they double or triple you, they're leaving other sides of their game exposed? Well, your allies can capitalize on those other sides and exploit your opponent's weaknesses. By doing that, by attacking enemies, you will actually get some pressure relieved off you because now the enemy has other things to worry about instead of just kicking your dead body, which at this point would probably be the case. Once the pressure has alleviated from you, you can get back to rebooming and try to get back into the game that way. So the help from your allies can come directly to your base if you still have a good amount of villagers and you're worth saving. But if you're not worth saving and you just need time to get back in the game, it's actually best for you to tell your allies, listen, I'm dead, I need time, go hit someone else, give me that time now. Like I've bought you time, you guys buy me time so I can get back in the game. There's a much better mindset to have than just begging them to come save your 2 villagers that are on half HP so you can feel good about yourself. No one cares, you're already dead in game. And one more minor point to mention, stop nagging the booming player. Yes, you can tell him, listen, I'm dying, this is urgent, or I will be out of the game, so plan to carry yourself. That is good communication. But just crying all game like, oh, you're just booming, I have to soak all the pressure, is doing nothing for your team. Remember, the booming player can't stop them from doubling you. It's not his fault that you got doubled, it's just the way it goes. So communicate that you need to be saved at some point or that you might be out of the game, but don't cry or nag about it or spam X about it because that is really bad and that just gonna lower your team morale and it's not gonna benefit you whatsoever. And I know you guys do this because I can see it. I see you, I have eyes and ears everywhere. I know you guys are doing this. Stop doing it, it's not helping your team. Okay, now let's talk about the booming player. The booming player, although it's a nice comfortable role, also has a lot of responsibility. Remember, you have an ally who's dying, so once you get going, once you have a really good economy, that's when it's go time. You have to go as fast as possible to either help your ally kill the army in his base and alleviate the pressure, or kill an enemy opponent. The faster you can go kill an enemy opponent, the quicker you can get ahead and the faster you can snowball in a game. You also have the responsibility of getting into that carry role and staying in it, getting to a really strong unit, spreading out your army, attacking multiple enemies, taking out enemies. That is your responsibility. Spoiler alert, you're not good just because you're the first guy to Paladin. The guy who soaks all the damage could actually have played a better game than you. So just because you're score leading with 10,000 score does not mean you're playing a good game. You have the responsibility to win fast and to put a lot of pressure to get your team ahead or to get your team back in the game. Don't think that just because you're in Imperial Age that, oh, now your teammate is holding you back. If your teammate didn't die, oh, now you would win. No, your teammate is the reason why you're in the carry position in the first place. So you need to pay that back to him by doing your job as the carry. Okay, now let's talk about some quick pro tips that would help you guys a ton in team games. Number 1, do not sling allies until you're 200 pop with a really good economy and a really strong military, fully upgraded military, carry option, all the good stuff. If you sling before, only do it first of all if it's urgent. But if you sling before, you're just limiting your snowball momentum and your tempo, and you don't want to do that because as long as you can get stronger, you having those resources is way more impactful than your flank rebooming. You having those resources means more strong units on the field, which means more potential to do damage, which is the way to go. So no slinging until you get 200 pop, and once you get 200 pop with a strong army, solid setup, then you want to get coin into banking and sling, because banking up resources once you're 200 pop is useless. You're not using those resources and they're not helping your team by stockpiling it, okay? You're not saving up for a Lambo with 10k gold. Send that to your ally, especially food and wood, not just the gold, so you can get back in the game and you can get more population on the field through him. Another thing that's worth noting is that the guy who dies does not sling. This is a crazy misconception that I also had when I was an up-and-coming player. The responsibility he has after dying should be to reboom in a safe place and try to get back in the game ASAP. He can also expect sling to come his way, and by sling I just mean passing resources from another ally to you. So he should expect sling to come his way, so he should set up by adding a few TCs, getting his vill count up, and then once the sling comes in, he can aim for Imperial Age, aim to set up trade, aim to get back in the game, and aim for 200 pop and an army himself. So that is the way it should be done. The guy who dies does not sling under any circumstances unless it's urgent, and the guy who's in the carry role roll does not sling unless it's urgent until he gets to 200 pop. Learn those two things, and if you guys both know them, you're gonna have a really good game. And if your ally doesn't know him, just tell him, hey, Hera told me this, I'm gonna do it. And he'll listen, trust me. Okay, I think I covered a lot of information, so the last thing I want to talk about is that you won't always get the booming carry roll. It's just impossible for it to always land on you. Even if you're the pocket, sometimes you will get doubled and tripled. It's hard to predict, and it really just depends on what the enemy wants to do. For an extreme example, if they want to go all out and quadruple you on Arabia from feudal age, they all send the army to you no matter where you are. That's gonna happen. There's no way to stop that. But of course, that's a terrible strategy because they leave way too many other angles exposed in their base and they will probably die. So in that case, you'll die because you're getting quadrupled, but your entire enemy team will get collapsed on by your allies and dealt with relative ease. So the idea is you won't always have the booming roll, you won't always have the carry roll. Sometimes you will get the I'm dying and I'm getting doubled roll, and in that case you just have to play your responsibilities out to the best of your capabilities. Obviously, sometimes the booming player will misplay and he will cost the game. He will have paladin and he'll just AFK them near his castle because that's just what happens sometimes. But you can't control what your allies do, so if that happens and the booming player just doesn't do anything with his boom, GG, it happens, move on to the next. Focus on what you could have done better, and that's the best thing that you can do to improve for the next game. Or you can help your ally by saying, hey, you have a really good army, you can go ahead and use it now. This is a good place to hit, and you X a few enemy locations. You can tell him, hey, I'm dead, go use the army. That's the best way to communicate. And both players, the guy who's dying or the guy who's booming, can cost the game. The guy who's booming just doesn't do enough, as I already mentioned, and the guy who's dying dies way too hard. Like, he just dies immediately, gets absolutely nuked, doesn't watch his bills, loses them all in like 2 minutes, and the game is cost by him. Both sides can misplay and both sides can overperform and win the game for the team. So it's important to note that no matter what side you get, what role you get, and there are a few other roles that you could land into, you know, I just picked the most extreme ones, but no matter what role you land into, make sure you're playing it to the best of your abilities, and make sure that you're communicating to your allies and not nagging them or flaming them, because that's not helping the team at all. Hopefully this is helpful for you guys out there playing team games. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys want more team game content, let me know in the comments below what you want to talk about. But this video absolutely needed to be made, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, views up, likes up, guys, or else no more team game content. Simple as that. I'm not blackmailing, it's just the way it goes. And if you guys want more content from me, check out my Twitch stream, link in the description. If you want exclusive guides on how to get better, mostly for 1v1s to be honest, check out my Patreon, but it could help for team game as well. Check out my Patreon, link also in the description. Love you guys a lot. Thanks for watching and have a good rest of your day. Peace.